Hello, so we're going to look at balancing equations today, and we're going to learn a pretty nifty way of doing it, I think. It is slightly long, but it does work. So if you find balancing equations hard, then this is the video for you. Obviously, while watching it, please make sure you've not got any other tabs open on your computer, you've not got your phone on distracting you, and you've got a pen and paper or something to write with so that you can have a go at doing it. So now that you're ready, let's have a look at an equation we want to balance. We've got N2 plus H2 will make NH3. Now, while I look at this, I go, right, this isn't balanced, because I've got two nitrogens, my N's here. I've only got one on that side. I can count that up, and I'm like, oh, that's it, it's done. Now, you might be tempted just to go, oh, well, I'm going to put a 2 just here, or a big 2 there, and then that's it, it's all fine. I'm going to say, no, Mr. Lewis, you can't do that. To learn how to do this, we need to make sure we can count up our atoms, and we know how to draw them out. So we've got N2. Means I've got nitrogen, which is my N. This little 2 here means I've got 2 of them. It also means I can't change this little 2. If I change that, I've changed the formula. So if we were to draw it out, we would have an N and an N. I'm going to draw a little circle around them to show that they are in a bubble. Now, here comes the magic part. We're going to draw a box around it. I've drawn a box around it. I now can't touch what's in this box. I can't do anything to it. I'm going to do the same for my hydrogen, my H. So I'm looking at it. I've got an H, which is my hydrogen. I've got this little 2 here, which tells me there are 2 of them. So I'm going to draw the same out there. I've got 2 hydrogens now. And again, I'm going to draw my box around them. Now on this side, my NH3, slightly trickier. I've got 1 nitrogen, I've got hydrogens, I've got 3 hydrogens. It tells me there, I've got H, I've got the 3. It's only for the hydrogen because it's next to the hydrogen. So I'm going to draw this out as well. And I will have an N, and then 3 hydrogens. And I'm going to draw a box around here. Now, as I said, we can't do anything to what's in the boxes. The boxes have to stay as they are. All I can do is add more boxes. If I want to increase the number that I've got, I need to increase the boxes. So I'm going to try and balance it now. I'm going to have a look at it. And I'm going to count up my nitrogens first. So I've got 1, 2. On this side. I've only got 1 on this side. Now, we need to make sure we have 2 nitrogens on each side so that it's balanced, because we can't have 2 here and then lose 1. It doesn't disappear off anywhere. It's definitely got to be here at this end as well. Now, you might be tempted to say, Mr. Lewis, can I just add another N in here? I'll add an N into this box and we'll put it in there. I'm going to say, no, we can't do that. Remember, we can only add a box. We can't add anything to the boxes. So if I'm going to add a box to make sure I've got 2 nitrogens on both sides, I've already got 2 here, I want to get 2 here as well, I need to add the whole box. So I'm going to draw it there, got nitrogen, and I have to add my 3 hydrogens as well. And again, I'm going to draw a box around it. I'm going to go back and check that I'm happy with my nitrogens. I've got 1, 2, on this side, and 1, 2 on this side. Hooray! My nitrogens are now balanced. I'm going to move on to check my hydrogens. Already I'm thinking there's an issue. I've got 1, 2 on this side, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side. Now that's clearly not balanced. I've not got enough of them. I need to make sure now I've got the same number on each side. Now, I can't get rid of 4 of these. That's not going to work. I can only add boxes. I'm not going to add a box here because I've already got more on this side. So I'm going to add a box on this side. So I've drawn my 2 hydrogens, or another hydrogen box, 2 hydrogens in there, and I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side. I'm not quite there yet, so I'm going to add another box. I've added another box. I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got the same on both sides. I've got the same number of nitrogens, and I've got the same number of hydrogens on both sides. Now I'm going to count up my boxes, and this is the number I will put in front. It tells me how many of each one I have. Now my nitrogens, count up, I've got 1 box, so I'm going to write a 1 in front of there. My hydrogens, I've got 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to write the number 3 in front of there. And my NH3, I've got 1, 2. So I'm going to write the number 2 in front of there. Now you're probably realizing we never have to write the 1 in front of things, because just by itself it means we've got 1 by itself. So I can cross that 1 out. And my final formula, balanced formula, will be N2 plus 3H2 goes to 2NH3. So there we have it. We've got a way of balancing equations using Mr. Lewis's boxes. Remember, we cannot add anything to the box or take anything away from the box. All we can do is add more boxes. So we're now going to have a go at doing another one. Now, if you're feeling confident, I suggest you go ahead and do it yourself and give it a go and skip across a few minutes and check to see if you're right. If not, watch me doing it. When you're happy with going, oh, that's how we did it, you can pause the video and carry on yourself. If not, you can watch me going all the way through. So we're going to start off. I'm going to draw my boxes out straight away because I know I want to try and balance it. So for my H2, I've got 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogens, and I'm going to draw a box around it. My oxygens, I've got 1 oxygen, 2 oxygens, and I'm drawing a box around it. My H2O, I've got 2 hydrogens. Is that 2 there? 1, 2. And I've got an oxygen. Just 1 oxygen as it's by itself. And I'm going to draw a box around it. I'm going to count up. I'll start with my hydrogens because I start here. I've got 1, 2 on this side and 1, 2 on that side. Hooray! My hydrogens match up. So far, so good. I'm now going to look at my oxygens. I've got 1, 2 on this side. I've got 1 on that side. Oh, I need to add another oxygen. Now you might be tempted again to go, well, I'll just do another oxygen on here. We can't do that. Remember, we cannot add to the boxes. All we can do is add a whole box. We can't add anything to this box. If we added an oxygen there, this would make this H2O2, which is no longer water, becomes hydrogen peroxide, which we don't want at the moment. We want to make water. So I'm going to add another box. So I've got to add a box onto this side to get more oxygens. So I have to add the whole box. I've got 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. I'll count up my oxygens now. 1, 2 on my left side. 1, 2 on my right side. Hooray! My oxygens match. I'm just going to check my hydrogens. 1, 2 on my left side. And 1, 2, 3, 4 on my right side. Oh, I'm going to need to add some more hydrogens. Add them on this side. Again, we can only add a box. So I'm going to add a whole hydrogen box. So both hydrogen atoms are in there. That 2, so it needs to be 2. And I'll count them up again. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I know I haven't added any oxygens in, so I don't need to check my oxygens again. I can do. I've got 1, 2, and 1, 2. Everything is now balanced. I'm going to count my boxes up. I've got 1, 2 here. I've got 1 here. I've got 1, 2 here. Giving me my balanced equation is 2 hydrogen, 2H2, plus, I don't need that 1, I can get rid of that now, plus O2, oxygen, will make 2H2O. Hopefully you got this right if you did it by yourself. If not, have a watch at what I've done. Make sure we're counting and adding all of our boxes. We'll try one more and we'll see how we can get on. Okay, so slightly longer one now. But again, we're going to use the same method and we'll see how well we can do. We'll see what we come up with. If you're feeling confident, have a go doing it by yourself. If not, start watching how I'm doing it, and when you're feeling ready, you can pause the video and begin. So, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, right, I'm going to draw out all of my formula into their boxes. So, Na, sodium, I'm going to draw my box around it. I'm going to make sure I've got that box. Plus, H2O, water. I remember this from last time. I've got 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. I've drawn my box around it. I'm going to make sodium hydroxide, which is NaOH. I'm going to make sure I draw my rings around them. Plus another hydrogen, just H2. H and H. Again, drawing my box around it. So I'm going to start off by counting them up. I've got sodiums on this side, Na. I've got 1. I've got 1 on this side. I'm happy so far. I'm going to move on to my hydrogens. I've got 1, 2 on this side. I've got 1, 2, 3 on this side. Oh dear, my hydrogens are not balanced. I need some more hydrogens. I'm going to need to add them onto this side. It's the only side. I've got 2 on this side and 3 on this side. So I'm going to have to add them on. Now I can't just add 1 hydrogen on. I need to add this whole box. So I've got hydrogen, hydrogen, and an oxygen. And I'm going to count up again. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 1, 2, 3 on this side. I've now got more on this side. I've gone too far. The problem is I can only add boxes or take them away. I can't do anything to the boxes. If I get rid of this box, I'm back to 2 and 3. So I'm going to need to add a hydrogen on one side. Now I only want 1 more hydrogen. If I added another H2, so if I added this one, I would have 5 hydrogens on this side. I'd still have too many. If I add my NaOH, my sodium hydroxide box, that's just adding 1 hydrogen. That might get me there. So I'm going to give a go at adding that box. So sodium, oxygen, and a hydrogen. I'm going to see where I am now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogens. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogens. My hydrogens are matched up. I'm happy. I'm going to go back and check my sodiums now because I know I've added a box here. I've got 1 sodium here. I've got 1, 2 sodiums here. Oh dear, I think I need to add another sodium. I'm going to add it on this side. Remember, I'm adding the whole box. I'll check my sodiums again. I've got 1, 2, and I've got 1, 2. My hydrogens I'm happy with. I've not touched them. Well, I have touched them, but not recently. My oxygens I'm now going to check. I've got 1, 2 on this side, and I've got 1, 2 on this side. So far, I'm pretty happy. Everything is now matched up. I'm now going to balance my equation. I'm going to bring my numbers up. So, my sodiums, I've got 1, 2 boxes. My water, H2O, I've got 1, 2 boxes. My sodium hydroxide, I've got 1, 2. And my hydrogen, I've got 1. Again, we don't need that 1 on there, so we can leave it out when we write out our balanced equation. So we've got 2 sodium plus 2 H2O, water, will make 2 NaOH, sodium hydroxide, plus H2. And there we have a balanced equation. I hope you found this informative and useful. It does work using these boxes. Don't be afraid to use the boxes when you're trying to balance equations. If you're having problems balancing the equations and I ask you, have you tried using the boxes, and you say no, I'm going to refer you to use the boxes and try and balance it that way. Any problems, please do come and speak to me. If not, have a great day.